What the fuck is up, guys? Um, what's going on, guys? I wanted to break down this trade I took. That what's going on, guys? Wanted to take. Let's go. We're up another $1,000 on the live account while floating another 600 ish dollars. And I wanted to break down that trade. I am I'm currently long on NQ. So I wanted to break down the trade and why I took it on a Sunday. It just looked like it was prepping up. We had a very strong decline for the past couple of days last week. So I was anticipating a big relief from all of those, from all of the sells, right? So market dumped pretty well in the last couple of days. So I have all my orders here. I want to go over my actual orders because I feel like a lot of people don't do that. So I want to go over my exact orders. So yeah, for the last couple of days, last 3 days we've been on a very decline on NQ. The market has started to pull back. There's a lot of economic data that's coming out that caused this big drop. And as investors, as you got to think sometimes opposite of what the masses would do, right? So in scenarios like this, the majority of people are going to start selling once they start seeing a red candle, especially after a huge rally that we don't really see any red candles. But when we do get some red candles over here, now we're on the daily time frame right now. So once we start seeing some red candles, see like one red candle, two, three, and then we start dumping, and then we had a huge relief, right after we seen one green candle. And same situation here on this trade is that we had three red candles. This fourth daily candle actually closed bullish. There's a lot of data and there's a lot of movement yesterday, but it ultimately closed green, right? So buyers were holding up the market to potentially give us that continuation back with the overall trend. Now, the interest rates just dropped, so a lot of markets saw that big relief. A lot of investors are going to start picking up all of the dips, and we should continue seeing the rally, especially them anticipating another interest rate drop in the next couple of months. So what I was thinking, my trade idea for this is I was trying to go in for just a quick scalp. I was just trying to get in while there was volatility, while there's some good signs of some more potential up movement for like a quick pump to the upside. So I started getting in here. At first I was actually short. Wait, was this today? No, actually this was yesterday. My apologies. This was yesterday. These were yesterday. Yesterday I took shorts from these highs right here. I took a quick short and we ended up profiting here. But yeah, this was my trade here. If you can see all these trades, let me zoom in. Let me go on a smaller time frame. So this is the 5-minute time frame, and we're gonna go over the trade that I'm taking. I have already closed right around $1,000 in profit, and I'm currently up $600 in floating P&L. So that puts us at around 1,700 with $1,100 already secured in the bag. Worst case scenario, I've moved my stop loss to a stop profit at $408. So if this comes back down to that stop loss, I'll still be up $1,500 for the day. It's just, beginning of the week. But this is what I saw. I'm going to break down exactly what I saw and why I wanted to take the trade. All right. So the way I like to trade is I do a top-down analysis, right? So I start from the weekly, monthly. I take a quick look at the month, where we're at for the month, the weekly, daily, 4 hour, 1 hour, 30-minute, 15-minute, and so on, right? So if we start on the weekly, let me take these orders off for now. All right, so if we take a look at the daily time frame, oh, okay, it's my order. All right, so if we take a look at the daily time frame, or let's do the weekly time frame. So weekly time frame, we know we're completely bullish. Actually, all right. So this was my trade idea as to why I got into this trade. And the way I like to trade is I do a top-down analysis. So I start off at the monthly, then I drop it down to the weekly, daily, and so on, 4 hour, 1 hour, and so on, right? I want to know where the market is going overall on the bigger time frames, because then I just find the inner waves and the dips and the support levels to continue with that trade, or find breakout levels so that way I can capitalize on the momentum of the breakout in that overall direction. So looking at NQ here on the monthly time frame, we can see that we have a major, we've been bullish for so long on NQ. So right now, if you short NQ, which I have, you have to do it in a way where it's very short term and you're doing it to the next closest level of support, so that way you don't get stuck with all of the volatility of the consolidation or the big heavy pullbacks, because there's heavy buyers at every support level right now. So monthly we're bullish, weekly we're still bullish, but we closed a major doji candle right here, which this, signifies indecision. So this just means that for this week here, the whole entire week, the market's been up and down. And at the end of the day, it closed bearish, but it closed in with it having such a big range. This is still considered, indecision in my book. So when we break it down to the daily is when we get more data and we can, see exactly what consisted of that indecision for the week. So let's see, we started here, market dumped, and it's just, we went up and we came back down and we're starting to dip. This candle here, this red candle here was the third red candle, right? 1, 2, 3 days of movement. This was Thursday, I believe. Thursday closed like this. Friday closed bullish. So let's break it down on the 4 hour and how the 4 hour starts looking here. We see that we have this downwards trend here. Even if I do something like this, let me delete this. All right, so on the 4 hour time frame, we see that we have created this bearish downtrend, right? And then we started to break. So this is where we had that break. We had a big pullback here and we had a big rejection at a key area. This right here has now become a key area because one reason it became a key area is because we consolidated here. And you see how every time we came to a specific level, specific supply zone, we had a sharp drop, came back, did a pullback, and we had sharp drops. This here created a sharp, a small drop, bearish day, kind of like this one. But then the next one, it was indecision. The third one, it was indecision. The fourth candle finally broke out of this zone here, which created a change of structure, right? We had a break of structure. It was no longer, this no longer validates it as a short entry for the short term. So the next, because all we can do is predict the future based off of the data that it's given us. And the data in the markets changes so quickly that while this can validate the move going further up, it can still be invalidated by the next set of candles. So, for example, once we had that break, you always want to wait for a retest back into the area. And what did it do? It captured a bunch of buyers here that got trapped because market ended up on the next 4-hour candle. If we break it down to the 1 hour, it enticed all the buyers here, enticed another set of buyers here because it rejected for 1 hour, and then it created a big red candle, broke back down this area, and this is what you call a double liquidity sweep, is where you have a bunch of sellers here expecting for the market to continue to dump. Market, it does an initial breakout, it retests, grabs a ton of buyers, breaks, does a next complete bearish candle, breaks back below this area, tricking a lot of these buyers back into sellers, or just sellers that are overall trying to sell the market. And what does it do? Market does sharp bounce back up to the highs, overall breaking this high and creating a new high. So my thought process on this trade was, we have a high up here as well too, right on my area, where you can see. So now once we have this shift of structure, our assumption, or in my opinion, the way I trade now, is that I'm starting to see a shift of structure, the shift of momentum. So now we have to look for previous levels, previous highs from the downtrend. We have to look and find those highs, because those are the highs that we are going to be putting our targets at. Because once that high gets broken, that was a key area before, so now it becomes a key area moving forward as a bullish trend. So if we draw my horizontal line right here, if you guys can see that, let me go ahead and make this a little bit thicker. How do I make it bigger? Here it is. All right, you guys see this black line? That's pretty much my entry. So right where I entered because of this left. So this was the last lower high that got created from this trend line here, right? So this was the third lower high. So that makes it a valid point. That makes, for me, it makes it an area of interest, because if once price got to this level after this little pullback, once price got to this level at 24,790-ish, 24,800, then we had a big drop back to the downside. And now we see that the market is starting to shift. It broke that overall downtrend. It had a major retest. At this retest, we had a major bounce and rejection, with closing with some really solid green candles. And now we're starting to see a lot of buying orders here. So we're starting to see a lot of buying orders here. This would have been a good area for us to potentially continue moving down, and for it to possibly invalidate or see if there's another reaction back in this area. But the consolidation here and the breakout, it gives us more of a confirmation that we can continue going higher. The break of this is when I started to get in. I started to see, and I was just trying to scalp here. I'm really not trying. If right now it's continuing to overall look great, especially with, if we keep in mind in the background of, in the back of our head, we keep in mind that we just are coming back from like a 3-day market decline. And the way markets are setting up right now, the way, the economic data is coming out, there's just a bunch of factors that I don't think this bullish trend is going to end anytime soon. And when the market moves fast, it moves fast. I got in at an okay, pretty decent entry. I have a really good risk to reward at this point. I'm completely break even. I already made $1,100 in profit. And essentially, this is what my trade looked like right here. And we're still floating in profit. So let's see. We got in right here. Well, actually, I got in earlier. Let me see. Let me break it down to the... Yeah. Okay. So now we can actually break down my entries. All right. So these are my actual entries, getting an NQ, making me $1,000 in closed profit right now, while I'm also floating $600-ish in floating profit. So I'm going to break down my entries and the overall bigger picture. So let me drop down to the 5-minute. That would give you guys a much clearer look. Okay, so you see these blue arrows here. If you see these blue arrows, let me move this closer. These blue arrows signify my entry, and then this right here signifies the number on the left side that has a plus sign. That signifies my contracts that I bought at, and then the number to the right is the price that I bought it at. So what this essentially is saying right here is I have this green arrow, and I bought it down here at this price and this many contracts. So you can see I have a lot of orders, and I'll break down how I trade and why I trade like this. So my first initial order was right here, right? I was expecting a continue of a breakout here because this was a key level. We started seeing a shift of structure, and we got to a key level, and I was just, trading pretty aggressively, trying to scalp the market and get a little bit on the riskier side while covering my losses and, trying to minimize my losses. So I bought it. This was my first set of buys here. We moved up here. Market started pulling down. I got an entry here, and then I started selling. So like, since I got in early here, I started getting to break even. No. So I got in here, and I got in a little bit early. Market moved up. I bought another set of contracts here, and I'm trading micro contracts here. But if you can see here. Yeah, so market kept moving down, and as it went down against me, I was just trading within the moving averages. As long as it stays within the moving averages and it pops into the moving averages, I'm solid. This popped out a little bit, but overall the moving averages kept going strongly in an uptrend. So I was just moving with the trend here, right? I knew that we're getting to an overall bigger key area, but knowing that we've been down for the last 3 days and we're starting to see some market recovery, I was expecting for some of the previous highs to start getting broken, especially with the consolidation that was happening at that key area. So I was just looking to ride the wave, scalp the market, scalp that breakout, take some profit, and then let some ride. And that's exactly what I'm doing right now. So we had a green this was my first entry right here. We had a nice little pump that put me in profit. Market started coming back down to the moving averages. I started adding more to my position. Market made another big red candle, and not gonna lie, I was kind of sweating it here because I started sweating it here because my stop loss was right below some of these lows here. My stop loss was right around some of these lows here. Yep, like the 30-minute, 15 above the 30-minute, 15-minute moving averages. So I had a pretty tight stop, and I was starting to kind of sweat it here. But my strategy is adding to my drawdown, right? To overall increase my average price. I added to my drawdown. You see, I started adding more contracts here. Let me move this out of the way. But you can see I started adding more contracts right here. Started adding more contracts here. Market started moving to my direction to, some of these higher priced contracts, priced orders. So that's where I started selling, right? I was like, well, I got orders down here that are in profit. Some of these trades here are break even, or I'll lose $10, $20. I'll have a very tiny loss, but I already have better entries. So let me take a small loss in case the market starts wanting to do something like this, and then start, creating the dip and creating the downtrend back to the downside. So I was like, let me reduce my risk, cut out some of my bad orders, hold my better orders in, and we'll move with the overall trend. So we started moving higher, and again right here I sold another 3 contracts. You see that? See, this trade right here was pretty much a break-even trade for me, but I had already collected more orders, or I was already in more orders here. So as market moved up, came back down, we had another dip, and now my average order size was a lot lower than before I was in all of this order here. So I went from being in an average order of up here to now look where I'm at right now with this green line. Now I have a lower average order, which I have a lower risk and a higher risk to reward ratio. So market came back down to my entry. I figured, everything's still moving in an upwards direction at a key area, right? I'm at a key area expecting for a breakout. So market here still broke out, right? So market came back down, did the dip, and it broke out. And right here is when I started collecting a little bit more profits. I was like, okay, cool. Let me get out right here. Let me start collecting some, because I started, being in a pretty big position, and I wasn't trying to risk the market doing a sharp back decline where it would take me out and I'd end up, losing more than I'd want to. As market started moving higher, I started taking profits. I took another set of profits here after these 3 green candles. I took some profits here. Market came back up. I took some more profit here. And right now, market has still been continuing to trend on the 5-minute. So right now, we have a really solid position. This is now a stop profit. So if market just ends up coming down, breaking these moving averages and starting to shift direction for a little bit, then worst case scenario, I'll make $400. And best case scenario is I might hold this overnight. So best scenario is we'll make $1,800 on top of this. So if we look at the longer time frames, let me just remove this data. That's what I'm talking about. This is how we do it. Great start to the week. We're up $1,100 with $646 floating profit, and we'll break down the trade one last time. So we got in here, we got in right around here. Stop loss was right around here, and we're hoping to take the TP all the way up here. This will be a good one. This is the trade that we're looking at here. Oops. So far we're good. We're in the green here. The 30-minute candle just closed bullish, so as long as we can stay above this, we will be good. Take profit is set at these next set of highs on the left side right here. So we're gonna go ahead and continue to hold this. But so far we've already collected $1,100 secured in the bag. That puts my live account back at 4,000. Yep, puts my account out at $4,100, right around there. And we just took a payout, so let's go. See you guys on the next one.